San Diego Comic-Con and Disney's D23 event are right around the corner, with San Diego Comic-Con happening next month and then D23 happening the month after that in August. And Marvel fans are really excited because we believe we are going to get the entirety of Phase 6 between both of these events. Even if they don't reveal the complete official Phase 6 slate at San Diego Comic-Con, we have faith that they'll reveal the rest of it at Disney's D23 event, because we're hearing this D23 is going to be huge. And the same thing goes for San Diego Comic-Con. However, it looks like Marvel Studios does need both of these events to really go over everything they have planned, including a lot more movies and shows than we probably thought were going to be a part of Phase 5 and Phase 6. Plus, not to mention, they really have to give us a new timeline, even for movies and shows that they've already revealed, because there have been so many delays, so many changes. It's also been said that some movies and shows have actually been canceled. Plus, we do have the whole Jonathan Majors Kang the Conqueror situation to deal with as well. So Marvel Studios really does have a lot to go over with a little bit of time. That's why it's being reported that Marvel Studios is going to need both SDCC and D23 to really go over the entirety of Phase 6. But based off of what we've heard, the movies and the shows that they're planning to announce, we're quite okay with them using SDCC and D23 separately to announce the entirety of the rest of the Multiverse saga, pretty much. Now, we've done a couple of videos on what to expect from SDCC, but we also have a report from a new insider about what to expect from D23, specifically the projects that they're going to announce, with a specific focus on the new ones. Of course, SDCC is going to talk about new projects as well, but they do also have to go over the projects that haven't come out yet that have been announced for a very long time, like Agatha All Along, Ironheart, Daredevil, Born Again, Blade. We definitely need an update from Marvel Studios about that film because they just lost another director and they're rewriting the movie once again. We need an update on films like Wonder Man and the next Avengers film, Avengers 5. Is this going to be the Kang Dynasty still, or something completely different? And is Kang the main villain, or are we getting somebody else for the Multiverse saga? There's a lot to clarify for the latter half of Phase 5 and the beginning of Phase 6. But in today's video for D23, we're going to talk about what Disney and Marvel are going to reveal about Phase 6 at D23. According to the Insider Holyfield News, there are 8 projects that could be announced at D23, starting with Shang-Chi 2. Now, this is one that we know is coming. Destin Daniel Cretton is going to return to direct this film. He directed the first one and it was fantastic, so that's really great news. And we know that they're going to further explore the origin of the rings, which we do believe are going to connect to Kang the Conqueror, unless there has been a really big change with Kang the Conqueror being the main villain of Avengers Secret Wars and the Multiverse saga in general. But we've heard, even if they do bring in some other villains, he is still going to be one of the main antagonists, if not the main villain of the Multiverse saga still. So the 10 rings should connect to Kang, and that is something that we should definitely learn in Shang-Chi 2. Then we have the Young Avengers movie. Now, we know this movie is coming as well. They've already started to set it up with the ending of the Marvels. Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, went to Kate Bishop, and then she mentioned Ant-Man's daughter. Those are our first 3 Young Avengers. So obviously we know this movie's coming, but the only question is who is going to make up the rest of the team. Perhaps we'll get a little bit of clarity about this at D23. Now, here's a big one that fans have been wondering about. A Ghost Rider movie. We've been hearing a lot of talk about Ghost Rider recently, and we've even had some pretty official news about the Midnight Suns, in which Ghost Rider is supposed to be a part of, and this is coming from Alex Perez of the Cosmic Circus. But more on the Midnight Suns in just a bit. The main point is Ghost Rider is supposed to be introduced, according to Holyfield News, before the Midnight Suns movie. And this makes sense considering that we've recently heard the Midnight Suns film is supposed to be a culmination movie. It's supposed to be a supernatural Avengers film. So the characters that end up appearing in the Midnight Suns film should have already been introduced. That way they can bring them all together and we already know who they are. We already know their backstories. So by that logic, of course, we should have a Ghost Rider movie or show before the Midnight Suns movie comes out. And Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus recently told us that Ghost Rider will be introduced to the MCU in a very similar way to how he's introduced in Marvel Comics. He will be an anti-hero that is loyal to Mephisto, as he looks for a way out. And this does obviously have to do with his origins, his connection to Mephisto, and how he gets his powers. Plus, we've heard that Mephisto might actually be the villain of the Midnight Suns. And the Midnight Suns, of course, is a project that is listed on here that is going to be talked about at D23. But real quick, one last thing about Ghost Rider. A lot of people know that Ryan Gosling has officially met with Marvel Studios, and according to many different insiders, he has accepted a role. We don't know what that role is yet, but many fans speculate that it's either going to be Ghost Rider or Nova, and I'd love to hear which one you would like to see him play. Would you like to see him play Ghost Rider? Do you think he'd make a good Ghost Rider, or would you rather him play Nova? Let me know in the comments down below. Then we have another member of the reported lineup for the Midnight Suns, and that is Moon Knight, but we are specifically talking about Moon Knight Season 2. Now, we've talked about this several times over the past few weeks on the channel. Insiders have reported that Marvel Studios is going to develop a Moon Knight Season 2, which makes sense because it was a very successful show. People loved all of the different characters of Moon Knight that there were, Steven, Mark, etc. People love Oscar Isaac, and they could really do some connections with Khonshu and the Kang variant Rama Tut. That would really get Moon Knight involved in the Multiverse saga and bring him into Avengers Secret Wars, and of course it would bring him into the Midnight Suns as well. Then we have Doctor Strange 3. We are reportedly going to get an announcement about this at San Diego Comic-Con or D23, and of course this makes sense as well considering how Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness left off with the post-credit scene, Doctor Strange going with Clea. That's a giant cliffhanger, and we know that it ties directly into what is happening in the multiverse at the moment. The multiverse collapsing, incursions happening everywhere, and Alex P. from the Cosmic Circus has even stated recently with what they plan to do with Stephen Strange and Clea, they need their own movie. And he has even stated in the past that he believes that Doctor Strange 3 is going to follow the Time Runs Out story from the comics, and that basically happens right before Secret Wars happens, right before the multiverse collapses and is destroyed, which we know is something that is going to happen in the MCU. So Clea and Doctor Strange will be exploring the multiverse, but I think at the end of that film, they'll realize that there's not much they can do for the multiverse at this point in time, and they need to rejoin the Avengers and the other heroes in order to defeat Kang. And Doctor Strange could be a part of the Midnight Suns team, but that's not what we've heard recently. We did a video on this just a few days ago, so we won't talk about it too much, but basically the team that we've heard for the Midnight Suns is going to be Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Blade, and Wong. We've heard that could be the potential lineup, with possibly some other characters joining as well. Wong is going to be there because apparently Doctor Strange is going to be out exploring the multiverse with Clea, trying to determine why these incursions are really happening, not just because they think Doctor Strange is causing them. Then we have Thor 5, the last of the Thor films from Chris Hemsworth, which is very sad to think about, but obviously Thor is going to be involved in Avengers Secret Wars, and of course the events that take place before then. Not much is really known about Thor 5 yet. It's not in pre-development yet. It's just a project that they know they're going to do. And they have begun to kind of talk about it. Chris Hemsworth has already stated that, and he's already stated that for this next Thor movie, it needs to be different than the last one, which I think most fans will be really excited about. So it sounds like the next Thor movie is going to be a pretty serious Thor movie. I'm sure he'll keep some of his humor, but it will be more serious than Love and Thunder. We've also heard from Holyfield News that they will have the Thor core in Thor 5, and it will tie into the multiverse aspect of the MCU, which, considering how it's going to be one of the last films before Avengers Secret Wars, it better. Because the closer we get to Secret Wars, the films will have to connect more to the multiverse, because this isn't like Thanos. Thanos was in the background for the most part throughout the entirety of the Infinity Saga, and then he just arrived in Avengers Infinity War, but he didn't affect the universe. This is the multiverse we're talking about. So not only does it affect our universe, but it affects other universes as well. So the closer we get to Avengers Secret Wars, the more these movies will have to show you what is actually happening. The multiverse is collapsing. And the last one that Holyfield News lists here is Avengers Forever. Now, there have been some rumors about this, that Marvel Studios might be developing another Avengers film, and it could be based off of the Avengers Forever story in the comics. Now, what's interesting about the premise of this is that they could really tie Avengers Forever, the story, into what is happening with the Multiverse Saga in a really easy and awesome way. We actually have a good Kang variant in Avengers Forever trying to help the Avengers. And we have the real timekeepers in Avengers Forever who aren't good. So what ends up happening is Kang gets an Avengers team from a bunch of different points in time, from the past, from the future, from alternate timelines. It's really, really cool. And that is something that they could, one, either adapt into Avengers Secret Wars, the movie itself, or if they do a two-part film, Perhaps one is Secret Wars and perhaps one is Avengers Forever. Take this with a grain of salt right now, it's just a rumor at this point in time, but according to Holyfield News, we'll receive a lot of information about Secret Wars and possibly Avengers Forever at D23, along with all of these other projects as well. So I hope that gets you super stoked for what's about to happen at D23, but also about what's about to be revealed at San Diego Comic-Con next month. We're almost exactly 1 month away. So let me know what you are most looking forward to with SDCC and D23. What project are you most looking forward to being announced by Marvel Studios? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all things in the MCU. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.